y'all. Welcome to episode 185 of Consignment Chats. We are going to talk about an awesome topic that can actually be a little bit heated because people don't quite know what to do and they worry and they have so many different opinions. And we are going to break it down. We are going to talk Markdown madness.
Woo! Yeah, let's do this.
Listen,
I want to start with their brick and mortar people. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love this because we can talk both brick and mortar and online because we've done both. So we can talk about it. But not only have we done both, but we all religiously shop both. So we can look at it from both sides of the coin here. We can look at it as shoppers, we can look at it as sourcers, and we can look at it as business owners. So let's do it.
All right.
Some of us more religiously than others, I just want to say.
Do I get a halo? Do I get a halo?
I think anybody who's listened to our episodes know what Samantha's saying.
Right.
Without actually saying it.
Maybe that should be a drinking game. How many times do we reference Molly's sourcing addiction? Drink.
All right. So brick and mortar, like what do we like? We're going to talk about brick and mortar. We're going to talk about shopping. We're going to talk about discount schedules. And then we're going to talk about how that translates into online, right? Like what do we like best when we're shopping and how does that translate for our online sellers? So I think Molly, you just need to start us off here. Like what do you like when you go into a store?
So one of the things that I love, first and foremost, are clear visual signs that I can understand what their process is. I like to see that when I walk in the door. I don't want to have to or be greeted by somebody who tells me that when I come in the door. I don't want to walk around for a bit and wonder, and I love it when it is present first thing, that I know what's happening. I love it when I'm greeted and they tell me what's going on, but there's also signs because I am one that will snap a picture of that sign because I'll get the colors mixed up in my head if there's a color discount schedule. But that to me is first and foremost one of my favorite things when I go into a store is that I know right off the bat, do they have a discount schedule? Are they a store that has sales? If so, how do they do their sales?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everybody does it differently. It's very frustrating when you walk in. Like my favorite consignment store, they have the color tag markdowns, and they'll actually hand you a slip that says, and they do special things on Saturdays. So you actually get a slip of paper that you can carry around the store with you if you choose. They also have it on the wall when you walk in. It would be great if they told you when you walked in, like, here's the discount schedule, here's the slip of paper. They do not. But the message gets across. I know enough to ask.
Right. Well, I just think it's a great way to teach your staff to welcome people in. I mean, it's a, hi, how are you? But, welcome to the store. Blah, blah, and it's just a great, Samantha, don't you have somebody that you shop that is really good at that?
Yes. So my favorite consignment store is Annabeth's store. She is in our Consignment Chats community. And she's in Boyne City, Michigan. It's Forgotten Treasures. And I love it. Her staff is amazing. Oh. And when they hear the door, they are on it. They're, good morning. How are you? Welcome to our store. We're so happy to see you. You sit for a second and think, do I know them? Have I met them before? Because they're so friendly. And they right away, they tell you about their tags. So they do automatic markdowns where the first 2 or 3 weeks is the first price, and then it's a second price, and then a month or whatever later, it's another price. And so their Forgotten Treasures is the name of their store, and they tell you about the treasure hunt that you are about to embark on within their store and how you should look at every tag. And you should really, and they have the coolest setup. Like there is stuff everywhere, but it does not look cluttered at all. It is beautifully set up. And they're like, we want you to dig through shelves. We want you to look at stuff. We want you to hunt for these treasures and see what you can find on sale. What can you find on clearance? I love it. It's so much fun.
Oh my God. I love that so much. I don't know, y'all. I'm going to say it right here. in the middle of our recording, maybe this is somebody we should have on our show to talk about how they came up with this process and how they teach their employees to, how do they choose employees that have the gift of doing that? And I mean, there's a lot to be said for that kind of training. And how does she go about it? Because the way you've talked about them with us in the past, it's clearly natural with them. Some people come across and it's not natural. They're rote kind of saying stuff that they have to say. But it sounds to me with everything you've said that she's done it where they've completely bought into her business and love it probably almost as much as she does. So I'm sure there's some good advice she has on how she did that.
Yeah, they have a very, I don't know what their exact mission is, but I can tell it's very community based because they want to help people consign things so that they can make extra money, and then they want to help the community shop and find good deals. And they're, as soon as you talk to them, oh, by the way, make sure you check out so-and-so down the street. Also, this other one on the other side. Oh, your daughter's looking for plants. Because, of course, my kid is always looking for plants. And we were down there one time with her. And, oh, well, you can go over here. She's a florist. But if you tell her we sent you, she might have some things that you can bring home. So you should go and check with her. And, they're so community. I just love them. Anyways, it doesn't have anything to do with sales, but they're great. And Anna, we should have you on because I haven't actually got to talk to you. I've just talked to all of your staff. So
all right,
you should come on here.
I think we need to put this one in the works. So
yeah.
My favorite consignment shop, which if you have followed us for a while, you know that I have done workations to Florida. I love this group of consignment businesses in the Jacksonville, Florida area. There are, I think, 4 or 5 locations there called Fifi's. I'm going to give you my gold because there's enough for everyone. Anytime we go down to go on a cruise, anytime we're in Florida, we always make a stop in Jacksonville, whether it's, okay, we're going to pick your favorite store. You've got 2 hours, Molly, because we got to get back on the road, or we're going to stay overnight and hit all of them. I got to go to at least my favorite, right? So they do the discount color tags, which is what Libby and I, and Libby used to do in the storefront, is the color tag discounts, which I love. I think it's great. I think it's easy to be able to just look for those colors as you're walking through the aisles. You'll see the color pop out. They also take the extra step in their different locations do it a little bit differently, where they will try to pull a lot of that for you and put it in one section. One of them actually has a little back room that their staff will try to continually, as they're going through, pull and pop in the back room. So you can just go back there and look at all the clearance. I know people worry about things like that. Like, does that make people wait for the clearance? Does that make people just shop the clearance? I'm here to tell you, I have never walked into one of their stores and only bought clearance. I always go through the clearance and I always end up buying several things for myself full price. I just,
do you know what it makes people do? It makes people walk through your store
correct
to get back to the clearance and then walk back up front to check out. How are you not touching and looking at things on the way?
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure Molly is like, look at all this clearance I got. Ooh, that's a pretty purse.
Yeah, the other way we did it in the store, so there were the color tags, but also you have the ability to, most of consignment software, you have the ability to print dates on the tags and what the prices will be marked down to at that date. That way it's kind of like a more of a rolling thing. You don't have to worry so much about the colors and all of that. So we'll say like on 7/16, this will be, 20% off on.
Yeah.
So you can do a date kind of version like that, which is also pretty effective.
That's what my favorite one in Winston-Salem does. Snob Shop, they do the dates. And they are, y'all, this business, what did I tell you? Look, this business, they have been in business for years. And I mean 20 plus years. This consignment shop has been in business in Winston-Salem.
It's so awesome. You have to take Samantha there.
Oh yes, Samantha, we'll go to.
It's mind blowing. We love it.
They do the dates. They don't do the color tags. But when people are concerned about do I share my markdown? Is it going to hurt my business? Is it going to? They actually put it on their social media, their stories every Sunday night, because every Monday morning is a markdown.
Yes.
And they will put individual items all up there. I mean, it will be an Hermes scarf. It will be a Gucci pair. It'll be everything. A beautiful upholstered chair. And they will put what's marked down, 80%, 50%, 20%. They have an amazing business. So my point is, if you're concerned about that harming your business, I don't think that's going to be the deal breaker.
I mean, especially consignment, like your goal is to get it sold, right? No matter what. Like, all right. So the counterpoint I've heard to that is, and I don't want things to go, I think they go up to 90% off, don't they? The Snob Shop?
They do 80%. And then my other one here does 90.
Okay. So like, do I want people coming in and waiting for the date to buy that? Oh, they're going to see it's 80% off in 2 months. Are they going to wait and buy it? Now, I mean, that's a real concern. However, the reality of that is, do they wait, Molly? Not if they really want it.
Not if you really want it. And they learn that quickly. I mean, how many times, Libby, were we standing in the front of the store and had somebody run in, look for something, go, where's that leather jacket? I wanted that leather jacket. I know it's marked down today. Oh, sorry, that sold 2 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at some point we had behind the cash register a big sign that said, "You snooze, you lose."
Yeah,
like that was our running joke. People would say, I think I'm going to wait, and I was like, all right, well, as long as you're comfortable knowing it's not going to, there's a good chance it's not going to be here when it's 80% off.
Right.
So it has the opposite effect of creating that like scarcity marketing, that like FOMO kind of feeling, like I better grab it now because who knows how many other people are watching it.
So just
I heard
very transparent. This just happened to me last week, and I know this rule. But there was a beautiful, I am a huge fan of David Yurman and John Hardy jewelry. They had a beautiful David Yurman necklace, layered necklace that I kept my eye on because I really wanted it, but I wanted it to go much deeper discount. And it was there in the store, because I went on their website 2 days before the discount, and the day the discount went, it wasn't there anymore. It was gone. Mm-hmm. Somebody bought it and I lost it. And I even know better, y'all. I've worked in the store and watched people, but on my end, I do think, well, that necklace wasn't meant to be for me. There'll be another one coming up. I know there will be. So
I play that head game with myself sometimes of like, well, if I meant to have it, it will be here on Sunday when the sale starts or whatever. I do that sometimes, but that's mostly because I don't really need to source. So that's my own problem. But I have heard Anna's staff at Forgotten Treasures, I have heard them kind of like how we use consignment as a bargaining chip when we're trying to make deals and, right. We can buy it outright or we can do this. They've done that. There was a gentleman in there, had a piece of pottery, and he was trying to dicker with her and like, well, would you take less? And would you? And she goes, we absolutely would. In 3 days, and because it's the same thing, it says the dates and what the markdown are. In 3 days, it will be this price. And then 2 weeks after that, it will be this price. So those are the days that we will take less for it because that's what these prices are. And he's like, yeah, well, I don't know if I'll be in town then because it's nothing but a tourist town. And she goes, well, if you want to take the gamble and you think that, you might be in town and it might still be here, great. If not, then this is what the price is this week. And she just kept going back and forth. She had an answer for everything. And she did it in the sweetest, nicest way. But I was just sitting there listening and I'm like, that's right. Work it. All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens.
Yes, it does take that bargaining, like that back and forth because that was one thing that I absolutely felt strongly that I think Molly and I both felt strongly we did not want to do in the storefront was offer people discounts or let people negotiate the prices because it just, I mean, for us, it didn't work. And I think for most, it's not something you want to get in the habit of doing. So to have that response already is great.
All right, what you just said. He bought it for that price. Of course he did, because then he realized I'm going to mess up if I don't.
Yes, go.
This is segueing into the other part, Libby, of the whole in your storefront sales is we talk about the constant markdowns, like most of them do, most consignment shops do consistent markdowns of some sort. At least all that I shop. I've never been in one that doesn't have some kind of a markdown schedule. But then what about promotions on top of that in the storefront?
Yeah, so this is something Molly and I had heated disagreements about. Yeah. So, all right, it kind of ties into like a counterpoint I wanted to make. Like a lot of consignment shop owners, thrift shop owners don't want to do a discount schedule because they think it's going to cheapen the look of their store. It's going to provide the wrong message. It's going to send, and I mean, that's a legitimate point, but you have to think about all the benefits that you'll be gaining by having it, taking bargaining off the table. What else? Like people coming back, right?
Yeah.
Like you're also creating this customer base that's watching things and coming back and going through the items, and they're interested and invested in those items.
Yeah.
So think about all of that if you're thinking about implementing that kind of strategy. And I just got, all right, so discounts on top of discounts.
Discounts on top of what? That's madness.
Yeah. So sometimes we would run, I'm thinking Black Friday was a big one where we would run sales, and it would be on top of the already discounted price, right? So if it had its, markdown, November 1st, it would be like 10%, 20% off of that. And it was a promotional sale, and Molly felt that it was too much. It wasn't fair to the consigners. It was, I don't know, what all did you think?
Well,
and I was like, let's just get people in here.
Yeah, that was the thing I worried about was I always worried about, are the consigners going to be okay with this? Like, I don't want them to be upset that we just sold their item and they're getting $2 in the end.
Right.
That was always my concern for that particular part of promotions. There's another one we would have discussions about, we can talk about after this, that was more aesthetic for me. But this was more, I was concerned about the happiness of the consigners, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's a real balancing act when you have consignment and you're selling things for other people. If you own the stuff outright, or you buy it outright, you don't really have to consider that, like you're dipping into your profit. You have to consider that. But I don't know. I don't know where I land on that.
Well, I know where you land on it, which I think is pretty consistently true. Samantha, hang on to that thought. Is that 90 whatever percent of consigners that we have, they really they're not doing it to get a ton of cash in their pocket. That's not their why when they consign. Yes, getting some of that extra spending money is fun. They come in, they buy other things in the store. They, maybe it's for their Starbucks and sushi money, whatever they consign for. But you were right in the fact that it is a rarity that a consigner cares in the end about whether it sells for $20 or $10 as long as it gets sold.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. I think I've only had to have the conversation once, really, where somebody said, "Hey, I saw that you had this up," and it was something that was in the auction group, and they were like, why so cheap? Why?" And I'm like, "Well, I started at that. It's been listed for a while, yada, yada, yada." Like, I had the conversation with them, explained it. They were still a little bit upset, but they were right in the beginning of their consignor period, and they resell on Facebook. So they felt that they could have sold it for more. A month later, when they started seeing how much I was selling and the other stuff that was selling on eBay and they had a $600 check that month, they were like, "Samantha, you're fantastic. Do whatever you need to do. Sell our stuff. This is working great." So that's really the only time. The rest of the time, yeah, like you said, 90%, they don't care. They just want to make sure that their stuff is not going into a landfill. It's getting loved somewhere else. And a lot of them want to see us succeed. They're like, if you need to run that sale and get people in your business and have a successful business, go for it. That's great.
Yeah. Now, I want to also put on there, back to kind of the tags in the in-store with the tag thing. There are ways that you can kind of save grace for those luxury type items in your store, that maybe that's when you get a consignor who's a little pickier about what you sell their item for. If they're bringing in a luxury item like a Gucci bag or a Chanel, they're not going to want you to have it 50% off and then run a big promotion. Both my favorite shops have specific color tags in them that they don't ever go on sale unless they do a special promotion. So it would never stack on those particular items, but their everyday stuff stacks. They would stack a discount on those. But these particular high-end luxury items have like a purple tag, and those purple tags, the only way you're ever going to get a discount on that is if there's some Valentine's Day special thing that they'll say purple tags 20% off today only. So there is a way to also negotiate or get around some of that higher end stuff, which is where I think people get more upset.
Yeah.
So I am currently missing a 50% off sale right now. My Goodwill opened half an hour ago, and they are having 50% off the entire store except white tags, which is not that many items, but it's their non-donated items. They must purchase it for retail. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm missing it for you guys, so you're welcome.
You can go when we're done, can't you?
Yeah, get out of here.
Those Canadians are sharks. I'm sure there was a line at 10 a.m. when they opened. I don't know. They're on top of those discounts, but I probably will still go and look around. But yeah, they did the same thing, 50% off the whole store and in fine print, except white tags.
Right. You can kind of keep those specialty items aside. I would say don't do that with a particular consignor because they're grumpy. If they're grumpy about sales, then that's your red flag that they're not meant to do business in your store, period. That's a time to break up with that consignor, fire them. But I mean,
how many times have we said, like, somebody will come in, well, I could get, $50 for this online. I encourage anyone that says that, do you need help getting started? Go to cchats.com, go to consignmentchats.com, or I think that's a great idea. Like, yes, you will make more if you sell this on your own. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because then you're not.
I just had a customer consignor drop off yesterday, and she has some high-end stuff, and she said, she said, I appreciate what you do so much. She's like, I know I could sell it online, but she said, the reality of it is I couldn't sell it for as much, and I don't have the trusted customer base. And she pretty much like sold me on this stuff, and like, she knows she could sell it herself online. She could not, pay the 60% commission to us, but it's not worth it. Anyway, all right, little aside.
I want to do this real quick before we move on to the other thing that we would get heated discussions about in the storefront. For the aesthetic reasons. Before that, while we're still on the additional sale, right, on top of your discount, some of the things that we did or that we know somebody did in their store as a fun promotion type thing.
So
go ahead.
Another one of our community members, Carmen, she owns Northern Bargains, like way up Northern Ontario. She's way more north than me. She does the colored barbs on her tags, so she knows what's what. And she has been playing around with different things to advertise that, the sign on the wall, putting it in social media. And she also does a ladies' night every Friday where she has a certain little extra promotion or something going on, get the ladies in there. Well, she took a foam die and she printed out her colors of each tag and did a different promotion for each tag. So 10%, 20%, all the way to 50%, I believe, for her oldest inventory. And when someone came in, they got to roll this dice across the floor and find out what their deal was going to be that night as they shopped. And then they could go off into the store or when they came back up and had their stuff. So she just took like a dollar store big foam dice. And I think she taped or Velcroed those on there and made a game out of it. So even though it probably would have been like her normal markdown for that week or a sale that she would have had, she made it fun and people got to come in and see what their discount was going to be.
It builds the excitement. It builds the I want to grab this, and
I mean, we all wanted to take a road trip like up there immediately when she posted that.
I wanted to roll that dice, man. Come on. I was like, I'll ship it, except shipping from Canada is way too pricey. So no, we're not shipping. Yeah, fun. So Libby, let's talk about some of the things we used to do in the store. So you talked about Black Friday. Y'all, one Black Friday, she had specific discounts. You just hop in whenever you want. Every hour or 2 hours? Every 2 hours.
I did that a couple years. Yeah, for a couple years.
Yeah. Every 2 hours, there was a new discount that would pop in. And it was all day through Black Friday. So like we would open at say 10 o'clock. So from 10 to 12, it might be 50% off handbags. And the great thing on social media was people were waiting on their social media, like for the post, what's next? And awesome. People would come back. That was the craziest thing to me. Like they would come in, they'd buy whatever they wanted at that time of whatever that sale was. And then they'd go with their girlfriends, grab a cup of coffee, walk through, and then they'd come back an hour and a half later, just to get the next discount sale on whatever that category was. Like it was such a great idea, Libby.
That sounds way better than standing in line at Walmart, honestly. Like that. A much better Black Friday.
Yeah, it was fun.
What were some of the other promotions we did?
So the best promotion we did, in my eyes, was check-in at the checkout.
Oh, yes.
And this kind of leads into the whole like aesthetic of the store kind of issue that Molly and I battled with or disagreed with. So check-in at the checkout, I highly recommend this to anyone. So anybody at the checkout, if they checked in on social media or they tagged us, depending on what platform, it was mostly Facebook and Instagram then, they could check in on Facebook. They showed us they check in and we'd be like, awesome. Or they would post a picture of their purchase. Awesome. Go grab something from the $2 rack outside. Or sometimes it was in the front of the store. We had all of our donated items were $2. And they could pick anything from the rack. And so what that did was it just built this whole base of like, oh, I see, Joanne's down at Conchi Consignment. I wonder what's going on there, and it just pretty much like organically for free built, our customer base and excitement around that. So that was an amazing thing that really had nothing to do with markdowns. It was beneficial to us because, that was donated inventory at that point, and we weren't paying anything for it. So that was my favorite kind of, I don't know if it's a markdown, but it was madness.
Yeah, it was definitely.
There's a similar one that some stores, they're not consignment, but there's a couple stores downtown here and they are friends and they are about a block away from each other. And they will run promotions. They'll tag team their promotions and do them together. And they'll do one where if you shop at the one store and bring your receipt to the other store and vice versa, they'll give you a discount or a little gift or, that can, maybe you get a free chapstick or whatever, but just to show that like, okay, if you support them, then we'll give you this. And I mean,
there's something to be said about being out in the community and collaborating with other businesses. We did Wonderful Wednesdays. Do you remember that, Molly?
Yep. We did
it with our local coffee shop. They could bring a receipt up, from Fiend or show us on their phone, bring one down and go back and forth. And I think we did like a, what was it? 10
off of your receipt. I think it was. Yeah. 10%.
Yeah. And we did that collaboration, which is so community building. I loved it. And it was free advertisement for both of us.
Go have their coffee in the morning and then trickle over our way and be like, hey, I was having coffee. And when I checked out, they told me take a look around. Absolutely. And, and then when you want your afternoon coffee, you can take that receipt back for your afternoon coffee and get a discount there. Like,
love it. Yes.
Yeah. I love those kind of things too. I love anything that promotes. all of us believe in the whole promotion of community in our business, for sure.
I loved when you were talking about Anna's store, the community aspect of like, go here, like the collaboration, like that's a lot of collaboration, and it just gives you such a warm feeling. Yeah.
Because we say all the time, y'all, there's room for all of us. I mean, there's room for all of us. There's totally room for all of us.
So let's talk about the aesthetic of how we did our sidewalk sale and what the issue was with that.
So let me just tell you this, y'all. I did floor sets in our store, and it was very much a consignment boutique. The floor sets with the furniture, the clothing, the mannequins, everything was just always beautifully set. Okay. We wanted it to smell good. We wanted it to look beautiful. And then Libby wanted to do clearance racks of $2 sales. And I was like, what? So it was in the back of the store. And then she was like, we're going to move it out in the front of the store outside when the weather's nice. It's going to all go out the front entrance. And I'm like, no, like, why? No, we can, what? No, like, it's going to look like Sanford & Sons out there. Like, it's like totally going to like change the aesthetics of the store. Like, people aren't going to want to come in when they see all these baskets and buckets and racks of stuff everywhere and not beautifully displayed. Like, I'm not like setting that beautiful display like I do in the store for a $2 sale. And Libby being the business owner, right? Of course.
Yeah, you overrode her. Yeah. I mean, you were correct. It didn't look great. Like, it really didn't look appealing.
But were my concerns valid?
No, it had probably the opposite effect. People were interested. They drove by, they stopped.
Yep.
I remember, do you remember our sweet delivery woman?
I was just getting ready to say she almost lost her job because she would order, she would like plead, like couldn't wait for us to order lunch from her because she would come in, drop the food, run out and grab like 20 items off the $2 rack and shop real quick before she headed back to the restaurant. And she was like, I gotta go. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, but it pulled people in, and what happened was like it was the outside, and maybe didn't look really Sanford & Sons, but it didn't look great, right? But they would come in like, oh my gosh, like it's so nice. So the contrast of that actually worked to our advantage. Like it did pull them in, and then it did pull them in, right? Which was the goal.
Right.
And then when they got in, it was like, oh wow, this wasn't what I expected. This is amazing.
Correct.
The discovery of, oh, look at this gem, this hidden gem.
Well, and hindsight now, most of the places that pull me in when I'm shopping consignment in a place that I don't already know and have established what stores are my favorite, for me now, it's those racks outside. They pull me. Like if I'm driving by and I see one of those racks, I'm like, stop, turn in, let's go. They're the guy,
Yeah.
There's a boutique downtown here that they have a small rack, and it always says what the discount is for that rack. But then they also put hooks because they don't have like a window or a very good like storefront. It's a brick building, but they put hooks all around the corner because it's a corner building. Mm-hmm. And they have just those wall hanging mannequins, and they have different outfits out every day. So they're showcasing what's in their store. And that gets my daughter, whether we're driving, walking, whatever, especially for walking, because then she can touch them too. It's a lot better than a display window because she can go, oh, these are nice. Oh, Mom, it's soft. I'm like, all right, let's go in the store. Come on.
Yeah. I again want to put out there that I bet if we ran a poll for avid consignment shoppers out there about, do you only shop clearance in a consignment shop? Does that pull you in? I would guess over 80% of the people are like me. That will pull you in, but you never end up just shopping the discounts. You just don't. You just don't. You buy everything.
I mean, people love to, other thing, like I was surprised, one of the first things I was surprised about in the store, I remember we had, the printers trays that have like all the sections in them. Do you remember? And it would and we had brooches. We had tons of brooches and they were super popular right then. And the display didn't look great. Like we put a brooch in each section. I don't know, maybe there were 100 brooches in there, right? It didn't look great. There were price tags hanging out. Do you know, nobody couldn't stop and treasure hunt through that thing. I can't tell you how many we sold. We were constantly refilling that tray because they love to like treasure hunt and pick. Well, it didn't look pretty. There's that element for consignment shoppers, thrift shoppers that really like to treasure hunt. So sometimes it's not like putting it right out in their face that's going to be the sale. Sometimes it's that feeling of like, oh, I found something really special in this pile over here.
Right.
So Sioux, Ontario, I was over there the other day, and awesome little shop that I found over there, tiny, but on their checkout counter, they had a display case and they had little jewelry boxes up on the top. Same thing, like brooches and rings and things in the top that you can see, tags hanging, whatever. My daughter starts looking at them and the shop owner goes, "Oh, open the drawers, dig through them. There's all kinds of fun things." And she was doing that. She was putting Maria on a treasure hunt and she got a pair of earrings. Mm-hmm.
They can't resist it. Just, it's so exciting, that treasure hunt aspect. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh no.
All right, guys. So we have been doing all this talking about brick and mortars. Should we just do a separate one for online, or do we want to dive into it now? Like, what are we feeling?
Let's just touch on it. And then I think we're gonna have to do a deeper dive. Yeah. So now, like, we know what people like coming into a brick and mortar. Like, we've given you the shopper's perspective and the store owner's perspective, and put your perspective in the comments, like what you like, what we didn't hit on, what works for you. But
I want to know what kind of fun promotion sales you do, like Carmen's Dice. Do you have something that you do like that? Like, share that with us. We want to know. Go ahead.
I saw online one more thing that was super cute. They were doing a live sale, and it was all about adopting handbags. Like, it was a handbag, like, adoption day, and they told the story. It was the cutest. I loved everything about it. Yeah. So
okay, totally, that could be my end to get more handbags now, honey. It needs me.
We're an adoption friendly family. We only adopt dogs. We do a lot of rescue initiated things. I feel like I could also get more handbags with this. I like this angle very much. Mm-hmm.
I'll have to see if I can find out where I saw that or who it was. I'm sorry if you're listening. I don't remember, but reach out. Let me know if I don't find the link, and let me know it was your idea, because it's awesome. Yeah.
If anybody else decides to duplicate that idea and have an adopt a handbag sale, please let Molly and I know. We would love to rescue these poor handbags.
I 100% will rescue your handbag. Yes, I can't have them faltering out there in the wild, not knowing where their home is. I can't have that. No.
Yeah. And if you don't have Sarah McLachlan playing in the background.
All right.
So how does this translate to online? Let's just give a couple quick nuggets, because we're going to have to do a deep dive on this, right?
Yeah.
So this is a transition we made from brick and mortar to online, and like, how do you garner that excitement? How do you implement these discounts? So, there's basic things, right? Like on Shopify, let's say, like, you can run sales, do newsletters, do special markdowns, all of that. You can do the same on eBay. Poshmark has closet clear outs, which we have mixed feelings on. So stay tuned for the in-depth episode. There are probably better ways to do it than closet clear out. Yeah. And the one thing we didn't talk about, we will also talk about like different ways to implement the aged inventory strategy. Like, you can do that online. There are easy ways to do that if you're an online seller, either through Shopify, eBay, or Poshmark. I think that's a really good way to do it, especially for consignment sellers. Like, move some of that old inventory, there are quite a few ways to do it that are really fun. The one thing that we didn't talk about is loss leaders. And we go into like how low can you go? We have a special episode on that. It applies to the storefront. It applies to, so a loss leader is something you sell usually at a loss to pull people into your store, or at a very like close to a loss. Like you're not really making a profit on it. There's all sorts of reasons you might want to do this or you might not want to do it, but it is something that you can do in the storefront or online. And we'll talk a little bit about that when we do our deep dive.
And we're going to also give you some tips and tricks on ways that you can still do fun things for promotions. If you're only an online business, there's still some fun ways like Carmen's dice rolling and that kind of concept, but you can do it online if you have a social media presence. So we'll share some of those things too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you call your wheel? What's your wheel called?
The Wheel of Fun.
The Wheel of Fun.
That's what I thought. The Wheel of Fun.
It's the Wheel of Fun. What else would you call it?
The wheel. I just want my name on it. I don't care what you call it. I just want my name on the wheel.
Yeah, there are some amazing ways to do that translation, but think about how you like to shop consignment. Think about, if you're brick and mortar, think about how you've done it. And let us know.
And if you're on the fence, y'all, about do I discount or do I not, I hope this helped you some in some good reasons why we think you absolutely should, and that it's really not going to bust your business. It's going to boost your business in the end. So,
right. Yeah.
All right. Please give us some things in the comments. Make sure you give us some good feedback, thumbs up, bell, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you are listening to us on podcast, we love those reviews, y'all. If you haven't done one, don't know what you're waiting for. Well, unless it's not a 5-star, that is. Anyway.
Oh, I got to check. I haven't checked to see if we've gotten any reviews since our last plead.
Okay.
Cheers.
Until next time.